The question is, many members outside Scotland praise the SNP. Do you agree that the SNP's record in government is bad? And this attitude amongst members is both wrong and damaging to Labour's chances in Scotland. I hate the SNP. I hate the SNP. I think they're Tories wrapped up in nationalist clothing. I think they pretend to be on the left, and they're not on the left. If they were on the left, how would it be that children in Scotland are now falling behind children in England when it comes to education? Scottish children, they always used to be ahead of us. How come you're now lagging behind? It's because the SNP have been in power for 10 years. It is nothing to do with them needing more powers. They've got all powers they need in relation to education. How come there's a school, there's a hospital just outside Edinburgh, the hospital for sick kids, that has been closed for the last 2-3 years, is it? Because of the air system? You know, the Scottish Parliament, the Scottish Government was responsible for that. They didn't procure it properly. Has that got anything to do with them not having enough powers? No. It's because they're incompetent. When they say that they need to spend more money on benefits, they have powers to raise more money in order to spend more money on benefits. Do they? No. Because they want to be cutting back on people's taxes. They need to be held to account. They cannot continue to just hide behind, oh, if only we could get more powers. They have been in power for 10 years and they are hiding behind constitutional issues. They need to be held to account. And I'll tell you what, I relish the opportunity of being leader of the Labour Party and holding them to account.
So I think the question we need to ask ourselves is not how much we hate the SNP, but why aren't people voting Labour in Scotland? And the decline in our support hasn't happened overnight. It hasn't just happened in this general election. This has been happening for a very, very long time. And yes, they have found the vacuum in the debate about Scotland's independence. And we have a duty as a party to really start having discussions about Scotland and how they feel in terms of their relationship with the UK. And one of the things that I often talk about is about power. When we devolved power to Scotland and indeed Wales, they were never meant to be a satellite government with Westminster being the king and them being servile under the bottom. They were meant to be on an equal footing. And that's what we need to push forward for. I'm always going to argue for the union, but I want our Scottish Parliament and our Welsh Parliaments to feel as completely autonomous and as independent as they possibly can whilst having that collaborative relationship with Westminster. And that's why we need to devolve real power, fiscal power, economic power and political power to Wales and to Scotland. But we've also got to look at resources within our Scottish Labour Party. One of the things that's certainly come up over the last few months is how under-resourced our Scottish colleagues are. And I know that from my work on the Green Industrial Revolution, when we wanted to do really specific targeting policy work, showing people in areas of Scotland what industries would be there. And the support simply wasn't there for our Scottish colleagues to be able to offer that vision of the future. And if we can't offer that vision of the future, no one's going to vote for us. So we've really got to put everything we can into Scotland, because we won't form a government without Scotland. It's as simple as that.
I believe in the union, and nationalism has never had the answers to the problems that working people face. But we have to be honest with ourselves that we are not winning this argument. And that clamour for more power that exists in Scotland, just as it exists in England and in Wales as well, that clamour will only be met with more power and by a party that is prepared to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. We can't keep treating Scotland like an afterthought in the Labour Party, imposing decisions, candidates, places where resources are allowed to go or not from the centre. We have to show a greater level of respect than that. And we also have to understand the very particular circumstance in Scotland where we've been engulfed by populist nationalism and we don't know how to deal with it. And when I suggested last week that we should look outwards to the world, to places like Quebec or to Catalonia, where the Spanish socialists have peacefully resisted the course of separatism by advancing the cause of social justice. Those words were willfully twisted and distorted by the nationalists, because as long as they can exploit the politics of grievance, they will deflect attention from their appalling record and they'll continue to win. We should never ever let them get away with it, and that's why I say we have to raise our game and look outwards to the world and seek to learn the lessons and be honest that right now we just simply do not have all the answers.
Thank you. Apparently I'm not allowed to ask any more questions.